We don't want to go too quick. We've got an L plater, okay? Tell me. Okay, item 1.4, Business New South Wales. I'd like to invite Scott Gould from Business New South Wales to provide an update on Business New South Wales on the Central Coast. Scott has been told he's got 10 minutes to tell everything about the Business New South Wales. So this is an introduction, everybody, for those that don't understand what Business New South Wales do. So over to you, Scott.
Thank you, Councillor. I have a click.
Who's hitting the button?
There we go. It's not me. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the invitation today. I know Councillor McNamara acknowledged the traditional owners of the lands on which we're meeting today, the traditional custodians. I too would like to pay my respects to elders past and present. As the chair mentioned, we could be talking for a long time today, but it is an introductory with 10 minutes to give a bit of an overview of Business New South Wales and then answer some Q&As. So I just thought it would be worthwhile to give a bit of perspective. Business New South Wales actually covers most of New South Wales. We're actually in 11 regions across the state. Central Coast, Hunter, Illawarra, Mid-North Coast, New England Northwest, Northern Rivers, Riverina Murray, Far South Coast, Sydney, Western New South Wales and Western Sydney. So quite extensive, the coverage. Our essential remit, and I guess to understand a little bit of the history, we will be 200 years old next year, which I think is quite astounding. I didn't know that until I joined the organisation. And a lot of the history there has been around advocacy for businesses across a whole range of industry sectors. And our primary areas here are to engage using our network of regional businesses. We elevate a lot of issues with stakeholders and also influence across a whole range of government levels and other industry levels to help drive outcomes and represent interests of business sectors across New South Wales. So we have approximately 50,000 member businesses across the state. We have a significant policy team that actually sits down in Sydney but represents all the regions across New South Wales. They provide a lot of policy work that we submit to government around a whole bunch of key issues that include cost of doing business, planning, infrastructure development, a whole range of things that we need for economic growth around New South Wales. As again, I touched earlier in the piece around our regional teams work with local, state, federal government ministers and bureaucrats and other agencies. We have quite a in-depth research and development team, including our own chief economist. We do a lot of work around analysis and survey work. Many of you might be aware of the business conditions survey that we run on a quarterly basis. We run that across the state. I'm very happy to say that we get great participation on the coast. Traditionally, we have done that by partnering with Central Coast Council. I would certainly like that to continue because we get great coverage across the coast and gain a lot of data on a quarterly basis that tells us the pain points and the growth points for local businesses. Importantly, we have regional advisory councils across each region. We have a regional advisory council here on the coast that's made up of business owners. It's made up of some of the existing local chambers. There are government agencies on that regional advisory council. As the name suggests, that group advises myself and the executive team around the opportunities and pain points for our local businesses and also community groups on the coast. So what does our network look like on the coast? I just touched on this. We are in some ways an umbrella alliance for a lot of the local chambers. We give them a lot of administrative support in the background around things like awards programs, member benefits, HR helplines, templates for business planning, whole range of things we have as part of that alliance. And that's with Gosford Erina Business Chamber, the Peninsula Chamber of Commerce, and Central Coast Plateau Chamber of Commerce. We also meet with council on a quarterly basis, and that's with the executive team at council, and we meet as an integrated chamber group, which is made up of Business New South Wales and the local chambers. We have a lot of connection points with council itself and a lot of partnership areas. Council has for a long time now sponsored the annual business awards, where we get over 340 people at that event. It's a real cornerstone event for the coast. Last year we had a record 167 applications for those awards. Great support mechanism for businesses to promote themselves. We're partnering this year on the 2025 Visitor Economy Awards. And also we've started to partner on a number of roundtables where a number of our regional leader members are in the visitor economy space. And as I mentioned, the Business New South Wales Conditions Survey. Local stakeholders, we have more than 2,000 local business members. We now have 95 regional leader program members across business, community groups and government agencies. And we run a series of events during the year, which are made up of roundtables, workshops and summits to support those groups. Peak body collaboration, this is quite important. Last year, a number of the peak bodies, peak industry groups on the coast, Business New South Wales, Regional Development Australia, Central Coast Industry Connect, UDI and Property Council came together to form the Peak Bodies Alliance. That group meets on a regular basis. Late last year, when we had the Premier's lunch, we launched 7 planning reform actions specifically focused around the Central Coast to help with planning reform. And we all signed up to that, including Pacific Link Housing from an affordable and social housing perspective, and the local chambers were party to that as well. We are currently putting the finishing touches on a enabling infrastructure investment guide. Again, this is the key groups coming together, identifying, and this is not in competition with council's enabling infrastructure priority list. This is related infrastructure with us having a focus on federal and state government funding attraction for those projects. We also hold board member positions on Central Coast Industry Connect and the Central Coast Leadership Forum. That just gives you a little bit of an idea of the breadth of leaders that we have in our regional leaders program. Okay, into a little bit of detail here. We have a number of regional priorities that have helped be informed not just by our policy platform that spans the state, but also by the Regional Advisory Council that I mentioned earlier. Why would we be focused on housing supply and improving affordability? Overwhelmingly, our members come back with our ongoing surveys and talk about the problems of finding staff on the coast that can afford to live on the coast. It is a huge problem for our business owners, and we've taken that on to help look into increasing housing supply and improving affordability. State government's done a lot of work around affordable housing in terms of essential workers being police, nurses, teachers, fireys. We also define essential workers as retail workers, hospitality workers, production line workers, because for any community to exist, it's really important that those people can live close to what they live. So things that we're concentrated on there, develop employment lands near housing, that piece that I just mentioned, focus on medium and high density housing around transport oriented development zones. We know there's 4 of them on the coast. We ran a summit last year and also delivered a residential development guide in partnership with a number of other groups on the coast. And that was solely focused around that medium to high density development with an affordable housing piece to it as well. I won't really go into the placemaking in a couple of minutes, sure. Placemaking and town centre development. We're very focused around Gosford at the moment. Social entertainment precinct. That is critical that we get that in place. We've really been working closely with council and state government. We need that to give the developers and the community certainty around sharing that space from a nighttime economy and a residential perspective. Support the transformation of hospitals and advocate for infrastructure projects. I did mention that investment guide. Labour and skills shortages, doing quite a lot of work around that. I touched on the tourism and nighttime economy. A number of our members are in that space. We're working closely with council. Our AI summit we run on an annual basis and have a huge amount of engagement from people on the coast and also promoting renewable energy and sustainability as emerging industries. That is a very quick introduction to what we do.
Thank you very much, Scott. A question regarding your assistance for the power stations and that and the mines going away. You talked to me earlier about some program that they have, and that you made sure that I think it was Lake Munmora was inserted into that those discussions. In our employment land strategy, excuse me, we talk about Lake Munmora Power Station. Can you give us a bit of an update on what should happen there or what's happening?
Yeah, I think there's 2 elements to that, councillor. One is Lake Munmora former power station, and the other one is, of course, the existing power station we have, Vales Point Power Station, which also comes with 2 coal mines that supply that station. So there's a broader New South Wales government strategy around supporting a lot of these mining sector operators and energy sector operators around how they transform and diversify post coal-fired power production. And I've advocated strongly and raised it with the Development Committee previously and with Council Executive that it's very important we keep advocating for state government that we are part of that. They tend to have a very big focus, not surprisingly, on the hunter, but we really do need that acknowledgement that when it comes time for legislation that will help support the repurposing of some of those post-mining land use pieces, including also reform of the power stations, we need to make sure that we're getting government support in those areas so that we can repurpose those for new types of industrial uses.
So is there any progress being made on that? Are you seeing any substance?
They're working on that review at a state government level in terms of what they're planning to roll out in support. It's been pretty quiet, if I'm honest with you, councillor, and I think we need to make sure that we keep those communication lines open with them. I stay in regular contact with them to make sure that as they start to put potential grant programs or legislation on the table that we are part of that. But the more of us that are asking that of Minister Moriarty's department, better.
Any other questions, councillors?
Just 2 internally, what's the structure that you guys have
on the coast? So there's myself as the regional events person that coordinates. We have support around the tourism events and the awards programs, both the business awards and the visitor economy. And I have a strategic partnerships manager who looks after the regional leaders program, who helps design the event programs. Also provides me some support with advocacy pieces that we do.
Just on that, is part of your remit, businesses are that ears and eyes of what's happening? To lobby, governments for support, let them know what's happening.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So advocacy is a big piece of work that we do, and we're doing that more and more in cooperation with the other peak bodies that are on the chambers. Yeah, through the chambers, but also through the Peak Body Alliance that I just mentioned. We're doing more collaborative work there. So I think there's been a little bit of a history on the coast. It's a very big space. There's a lot of different industry sectors. There's a lot of different town centres. I feel like there's been a big shift over the last couple of years, and I feel like there's a lot more collaboration coming together where we're getting behind particular projects and having a much more united front around how we advocate for those projects. So it's really encouraging.
Maybe
All right.
a closing question, Scott. I understand you have an event next Friday morning with an economics, which I think looks fantastic. What would your advice be to any council staff or councils that haven't yet?
Oh, buy a ticket. It's a great opportunity. I think it really is. We've got, I have to say, I can't take credit for this. Business New South Wales has been on the coast for a long time. My predecessor put an amazing job. But our events are really engaging. It's not unusual for us to have 200-300 people at those events. We have the Treasurer coming. We have state members. We have federal members. It is a very good opportunity. I will note that after the election last year, timing-wise, one of the first things that we ran at that period was the Housing Summit, which I think was at the end of October last year, and a number of councillors came to that Housing Summit, and it was great to see people there, and it just helps lift that level of engagement.
Okay, thanks, Scott. We'll finish it there. Thank you. And Scott's always available, all councillors.
Always.
Get his phone number. So what we might do now very quickly, we'll move on to item 1.5. So I invite Alison Besford and Mark Daniels from Space Urban to provide an update on what they're doing on the Central Coast for the Borg companies. Thank you.
Do you mind if I give you a hard copy of what?
Absolutely. I love hard copies.
Life went into this.
8:30 as well.
Only the
If Alison, if we could do 10 minutes, that would be great, and then we'll have some questions after. Thank you.
That's all right.
We have space.
Okay.
Like I said, what's the brochures as well?
Just noting, I think you've got a matter before the JERP, so Councillor Eaton has exited.
Okay, yeah. It's
You're voting then. Yeah.
Okay, go.
Good evening, everybody. What we wanted to do today is only talk to a few slides in the pack that are really key takeaways. So my name's Alison Bassett. I'm the CEO of Space Urban, which is the property development management and design function. And my colleague is Janice will talk later on through your back. So the Ball Group was a business established on the Central Coast over 30 years ago by Michael and John Ball, and it's grown over time to be the largest private employer on the Central Coast with manufacturing at heart. Many of you in the room will know the business or be familiar with the brand Polytech, which manufactures board, just like this table, seen in many kitchen and joinery applications. The business was focused, probably for the first 25 years on developing that company. And I would say in the past 6 years has really diversified out in a very vertically integrated way, remaining its headquarters on the Central Coast. So the Plantation Pine Products is a business that buys agricultural land, grows timber seedling programs. Those logs go into our manufacturing plants and board is created. We have another business called Redirect Recycling that started 4.5 years ago. That is a single source wood waste recovery business to minimise our impact on both landfills and locations around the country. So Redirect Recycling goes around to lots of job sites, just collects timber. That timber is transformed into a wood residue that also is sustainability and circular economy is a big focus for the business. There's a business here called Better Grow that was acquired 5 years ago. They manufacture compost, and that compost goes to a lot of our facilities. And also, Better Grow does a lot of capturing for Sydney water contracts of biosolids. Direct Pallets is a manufacturer of pallets and gluts used in a lot of logistics industries, including our own business. And that was purchased when we were facing a pallet shortage a few months back. It's a smaller operation in Western Sydney. Woodcam Australia is a resins and glues manufacturing business co-located now at our premises in Oberon in the Blue Mountains alongside the particle board production line. The TechPlas business is our most recent acquisition in Western Sydney. It's a plastics extrusions. We extrude polymer pipes. Space Urban was established when I joined the business 4.5 years ago to develop the significant portfolio that they have, not only on the Central Coast, but predominantly Eastern Seaboard. Today, their business employs over 2,500 people. 900 of those people work on the Central Coast.
Did you say you guys are the largest private employer in Central Coast? Wow.
Is
It's Councillor. Yeah. Okay.
So my understanding is there's about 29,000 businesses on the Central Coast, Scott, and 10% of them employ over 20 people. So it's a small fraction. Just gives you a taste for the operating expenses in your LGA. So the photo to the left was when they first started at their Charm Haven site, which we still have. And the photo below that is what it's like today. The facility at 2 Wellaway Summersby is where we have a large portion of our office building and also is a workshop for our structural steel department. The 1090 Old Pacific Highway is probably a 5-minute drive, and you can see due to this unusual shape of that building, every module is an expansion phase for the business. There's been a lot of investment into these facilities to create highly automated sites. And if you walk through that facility today, which I know a few of you have, it's quite automated and, there's been big investment on that side. The facility in West Gosford is also in proximity to the hub of activity.
That's the old
Bunnings.
Bunnings.
Well, prior to us, it was a car showroom, and prior to that, it was Bunnings.
Denny's own.
Yeah.
And this is the existing Oberon facility where most of the board is manufactured to produce the whole country in Oberon. So that's 200 hectare site, and we're going through the process of developing a similar facility in Mount Gambier that will almost increase our production by 40% across the country.
Are you inviting questions as we go through?
Yeah, let's.
Oh, okay, no problem.
I was asked about this site, knowing the organisation for over 20 years. I was really disappointed to lose this off the coast. And I know it's a substantial investment in the South Australian economy. I think that before your time, Alison, what's the feedback in regards to how easy it was to deal with the South Australian government about the project you were trying to deliver there?
Yes, Mark was here actually at that time. So it's probably
To
best
give you an idea, that project at Oberon's been there for like 55, 60 years. Previous business like Boral, Harvey, right? It's probably worth $500 as a manufacturing facility. Project at the top is equivalent, similar value and scale. it was a local DA, the Mount Gambier Council. Even though we met with the economic development people and the government about the idea of bringing the business, they just sent it straight to the council. DA was approved in less than 6 months, and it started construction 6 months after that. And they're pretty much halfway through construction now. It was no joke. It was head of the New South Wales planning system was like, you know, what can we do? Roll out the red carpet. It was ridiculously easy, even for me with a background in town planning. So it was a refreshing experience. And they're already probably a couple $100 million into it.
People will be employed up there. So
Yeah, I was saying.
In Gambia, there's already a business down there that we already own. This is expanding it, going from about 160 people to about 260 people.
But there's 500 million. Your project costs going into that
Yeah,
community.
so it's on the highway between Melbourne and Adelaide, and it's got a lot of good things going. The council and the economy are thriving off. You know.
Yeah, thanks, Alison.
Alison, just to pre-warn, I'll be asking the same question about Oberon too.
Well, so Oberon,
When you get to Oberon.
that is Oberon to the bottom existing. That was already approved state significant development about 8 years ago. And it's finished, completed.
Thanks, yeah.
The slide on previously just gives you a sense of where our holdings are. So the slide on the screen is a really good summary table to give you an understanding of how active we are in the Somersby LGA for employment lands. So essentially everything in yellow is in and lodged with the council today. And you can see some details on that in the pack.
Yeah.
And everything in navy blue are our operating sites, and everything in pink are things that are coming to you in the future. So what I'll do is hand over to Mark just to talk specifically about the projects in pink, and, you know, supplementary conversations we'd like to have with you about what you can help us on the coast.
These are just a couple of the DAs, if you like, that are already in the council system that are just beginning. Somersby, new ones.
Mark, can we stick to how the economic benefits for these places to the Central Coast? Thanks.
Yeah. So most of these developments are anywhere between 40 and $120 million projects. So there's 4 of them already that the council's aware of. 3 development applications, 3 development applications on hand, including one that's going to go to the regional planning panel. And at the back of the presentation, really quickly, if Alison flicks to it, which is in the pack for the councillors to have a look at. The bottom line is at the end, we're looking at spending about $665 million in the Central Coast LGA over the next 5 or 6 years, subject to approvals and all those usual processes.
And what about the extra employees?
Final
on the-
page. Can you get the?
Show the jobs created.
Oh, this is one of the projects, but the last bottom. The last page.
So that's not existing, that's proposed, is it?
I was going to talk about that building there is existing. That's where we currently have our head office with 300 staff, office-based people. Workshop there for Crossmuller, which is our engineering, mechanical, fabrication workshop. There's about 90 staff in there. This is one of the upcoming on your sheets pink sites to be expanded. This site here, which is a 30,000 square metre expansion of the Crossmuller manufacturing fabrication business. That is next door to an existing business that's being developed now by a Carry On Sand and Soils. And yeah, as you can see, it's $120 million, this project here. And there's a $30 million in construction jobs, in wages and flow-on effects. And then $20 million of ongoing value added to the gross economy just in that project.
Did you say that at the end of this, you're going to give us a summary of the economic benefits?
Yeah.
I would like to flip.
So this one's critical to the growth of that business. You go to the next screen.
Just on the map, I actually see it's where you've got developments within the sort of state at a very broad macro view. But on the Central Coast, do you guys have a lot in an operational capacity outside of Somersby and Doyleson at the moment, or is it like, do you have anything along the eastern side of the LGA?
West Gosford.
Okay. But you don't sound like a small manufacturing plant like a Rimba or South Kincumber.
These guys are big scale.
Yeah.
I think it'd be hard to find a perfect site.
Okay, guys, let's get to the finish one.
This is the last one.
That's it.
This is also, I was going to just prelude, we also own the commercial land at Mount Penang, which is next to the BMW. Some of the councillors might know the garden very well. Been a recent development application for Steve Group for a fast food out the front here. This is 19 hectares of existing commercial zone land that we're looking to master plan that and create a business park. That will create about 1,500 jobs during construction and 1,000 ongoing jobs, including potentially our own Polytech Borg office relocation.
Could I just ask a quick question on those jobs you mentioned there
Yes.
during the sort of construction phase? The people who are working in that sort of on that phase, do you have sort of figures around, how many would be locals or how many would be coming from elsewhere? Mainly because, I mean, I know that quite often with construction and things like that, just the nature of the beast, people come from elsewhere and they'll come and be working and then, they go back to wherever they live or whatever it might be. Can you give us a bit of an insight into that?
Yeah. So part of the Borg group of companies includes a construction company called Crossmower,
Right.
which is also a mechanical and fabrication. We will do all of the construction where possible ourselves using existing staff that are based on the coast and additional staff based on the coast. So we build our own buildings. We don't usually, in very rare circumstances, use external
Yeah.
builders. It's all done in-house.
Yeah.
It's part of the vertically integrated way we operate to manage everything start to finish. So we've currently got about 300 staff in that Crossmower business. I'd say about half of them are in the construction team.
Yeah.
So they'd all be coasties predominantly. Yeah.
Thanks.
And when you think of a traditional builder, the roles that Crossmower employs, they employ plumbers, they employ carpenters, they employ electricians. So it's not a traditional builder's model, project managers. So, and those staff live on the Central Coast and work about well away off.
Yeah, that's what I was just getting clarity.
And part of the reason the business has been so successful is because they basically employed people, right? They're not like a typical property development type arrangement where they've got a real reason for the business to construct, save money where possible, employ staff rather than get contractors. And then, so that's how the employment of how many staff have grown so much since 1990. So at the wash up of all this, there's a couple of key projects, which are the ones that are in your thing, but basically we're talking of trying to create about 2,310 jobs in the construction phases of all these projects added up. We equate to about 1,620 ongoing operational jobs just here at this potential Mount Penang site, but the Crossmower expansion site at well away where we are today. And it adds up to about a total investment of 665 million. So yeah, they're a quite achieving business that's not really very well known because they like to fly under the radar, do their business, manufacture, create jobs. And this is part of the puzzle going forward, is to try and create more jobs and make sure the council's aware of these employment jobs.
I might just talk to your asks.
Yes, and on the site.
One, yes, we are getting more and more efficient. Okay, that's my answer to the first one. Second one, no. Third one, prioritisation of support and funding. I know that you're dealing with Transport for New South Wales about the road heading into Carryong. It's sort of failed already, that particular road. So whichever sections of that road become council responsibility, you let us know. I know that you were talking, but I think that there's a council person that sits on that advisory committee with Transport for New South Wales as well. So the minutes of the meeting will include your presentation, and we should at least highlight it to our team that is looking at that entry into carry on. Okay.
Right, and thanks, Chairman. It was good to present our business.
Thank you.
Tonight, to coincide with your other items, including the employment land strategy and the economic development strategy and your tourism and destination stuff, because it's completely consistent with what you're trying to do with that work as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
very much.
Sorry,
Yeah, just quickly, it really is one of our hidden secrets on the Central Coast. This organisation spanned greatly over the last 2 decades. And when you see those type of numbers of people they're currently employing and what the future is for the Central Coast, we've got to create a lot more jobs over the next decade. So we need to support these type of industries moving forward. And just quickly before you go, Mark or Alison, we're not just talking about labouring jobs, are we? I know you're business with the robotics and all the technical advances. Yes, you've got people on the floor, but you're also employing a lot more qualified staff.
And if it's appropriate at some point, we're more than welcome to take the committee on a factory tour of the facilities on the Central Coast, just so that they can understand and see firsthand what's going on, particularly at Summersby.
Yeah.
It's quite unique and it's rare in New South Wales, let alone the coast.
thank you for that offer. Who's a councillor from that area? Councillor Smith and Councillor McQuaid may start to be the point of contact for that if other councillors wish to do that. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks very much from the committee. Yep. Move straight along. We've really only got 40 to 50 minutes left. Onto 1.6 Destination Central Coast Visitor Economy Update. I invite Mel Smith, Director of Community and Recreation Services, to speak to the report or delegate.
So Bianca Gilmore is going to provide the presentation. So I'll hand over to Bianca. Thank you. 1 second. Share actual screen. Yeah. Great, it works. Thank you, Councillor McNamara, and good evening, councillors, staff, and guests. So my role is section manager of destination marketing and visitor services. You might need to speak up a little bit. Oh, okay. Yes, thank you. Thanks for letting me know. And I fall under Sue Lettingham's unit of marketing, development, and customer. Excellent. Thank you. And part of my role is managing the tourism team, but also the tourism brand, and otherwise known as Destination Central Coast that you may have heard. So this evening, I just wanted to run through an overview of the visitor economy, and in particular the visitor economy update and results. Also look at some of the marketing campaign outcomes, and also look at some of the trade shows that Destination Central Coast have participated in the last few months. So I wanted to start out with some good news. One of our first achievements is once again being recognised for sustainable tourism. So Central Coast won second place globally in the prestigious and global Green Destinations Story Award in the nature and scenery category. And this was all the wonderful eco-conservation work that has been done at the entrance with our beautiful birds, and in particular the Pelican program that you may be aware of, which is a wonderful tourism experience over the weekend, and also the very successful fern breeding program. So wonderful to get that second place. Last year we were first place, so we've done really, really well over the last 2 years. The second achievement, you may have already heard about this, is achieving status on the ecotourism destination side of things. So this was a fabulous collaboration with the council, with industry and community. And I just wanted to take you through a quick video that council organised with what we call our eco-tourism operators. And we have about 19 of those operators. And I just wanted to share with you the sentiment and the collaboration that's taken place.
It's on mute. On mute. All I've been waiting.
Sorry, Briony, do you mind bringing that one up again? Thank you. I thought I could unmute it from here, but I couldn't. Technology.
Was it for 1 second?
That's really lovely, right?
Yes.
Is that the one at Hobgo?
In youth school.
No sound?
Happy for you to play without sound.
I get the feeling without the sound.
Pictures of everything.
I think you just click on here, Briony, see this little.
We can package this up and see.
Yeah, package it up. Package it up and send it to us.
That sounds good.
Yeah. It's a great little video.
Look at the visual.
Work together and make it.
Yeah. Well done.
You did it.
So I first heard about the eco certification through the council itself, and I just thought that's a fantastic idea if we can work together in making Central Coast even more environmentally friendly location.
When people choose to visit an ecotourism certified business, they are making a conscious choice to back businesses who back sustainability.
It's really important to us to make sure that we are eco-certified because we just want our guests to know, we're doing everything we can to help mitigate our environmental impact. Anything down to suppliers, packaging, even market stalls that we do, everything we have is biodegradable.
We have planted over 13,000 trees here, reduced our chemical application by 90% using smart methods.
We're trying to build soils using regenerative farming practices.
We think that's a really important step towards the future of tourism on the Central Coast, and the fact that we have this eco certification behind us as a region, it's a massive part of the tourism business that we want to be a part of.
It's becoming such an eco-friendly destination with all types of businesses coming together to promote eco-friendly tourism and bringing visitors here.
Quite a few of us have now gained eco certification, and it's something I'm incredibly proud of.
We want to be a part of that community and join those other businesses that are striving towards building a brighter and cleaner future.
Eco certification, eco registered, to me is a beautiful thing because we're walking with good intention, we're walking with soft feet.
Being part of a larger group of people and a large group of industries that are really striving towards that, it makes me feel like so proud to be part of something like this. I think it's a wonderful thing that we're all really working towards sustainability and really fostering a green destination.
I just want the world to be a better place.
As our passionate ecotourism operators, so thank you. So certainly a collaboration with everyone.
Can I just ask a quick question? Do we sort of, obviously I know we do advertise, that's being eco-tourist destination, all the rest of it, but do we have specific places as well that we do actually promote this in terms of, catching those sort of, and in a sense, some sort of niche markets as well?
Yes, absolutely. Really good question. So the primary market is the Sydney market.
Yes.
And the team have created some wonderful itineraries just focused on the ecotourism operators and also being able to showcase all our wonderful natural assets as well. And another part of that promotion is the international market. So what we've learned is the European market, particularly the Germans, are very, very interested in this. And last week we were at the Australian Tourism Exchange and the Germans were asking lots of questions across this product.
Okay, I was also had a few months ago, there was a few of us, I'm not sure if you were there, when they had the breakfast down at Drifters Wharf when we recognised the award winners. Yeah, I think a few of us were really shocked about what's happening in our backyard. And I think we all felt really proud, but that's my only view. I was going to ask it towards the end, what else can we do as a collective to get that word out there? Because there's some really great stuff happening, and I think we've all been a little bit shocked.
I was about to add on to Margot's thing as well, just in terms of, you know, I've previously spoke about my thoughts on council's social media and that, but some of the videos council's been doing lately are great. Like, there's no reason that video can't be, you know, sent around and shown to more people and on Facebook and whatnot, because I think people would like to see it. Because I didn't know about some of the businesses. Like, I do the oyster shucking. Why not?
And it's amazing.
We could do it.
You might just want to talk about how that is circulated.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Very good question about placing it on social media. And the video is placed through what we call the Love Central Coast channels, which is the tourism website and the social channels. So the video does play through all of that, but certainly let's showcase it more, you know, with the councillors as well. We can, you know, share that once again with the councillors and
it's not criticism of Love Central Coast, but I think big parts of our community don't know it exists, right?
Yeah, but I think a lot of people would have just the standard council page, or I don't know if it goes into
It's an
their.
opportunity for us to cross over in both, and we do that with the media team. So we have showcases through the council's Facebook page, but as you can imagine, the content that flows through those social pages is so quick, and it doesn't last for very long. So it's about redoing that on a regular basis.
You have some beautiful video assets as well, not just this. We've got a whole host of video showcasing the destination. So
All that short videos at that award morning was incredible, right?
Yes, that was a special morning. Yes, that was just after we had won first place. Yes.
Just to follow on from that, the presentation at Bell's a month or two ago, whenever it was, to the local people, was first class.
That's
come back and I gave my feedback that the team and the content was exactly what was needed then, and congratulations to them.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. That's great to hear. Yeah. Okay, so a bit of a change of a pace.
You're on you. You're on you. Thank you.
Change of pace over to the visitor economy data. So I'll go through some of these. So visitor numbers reached 5.5 million, contributing 1.3 billion to our economy with over 4.7 million nights. And the domestic overnight stays increased by 5%, demonstrating that visitors are staying longer and visitors are seeing the Central Coast as a place to stay overnight rather than just a day trip. And this is evident in our growing number of activities on the coast, from our luxury boutique experiences such as the Sydney Oyster Farm, which you would have seen on the previous video, to the revitalisation of the Pelican Experience program. Also wanted to mention that compared to pre-COVID, our year-on-year expenditure is up by 18.7%. And overall, these milestones highlight the region's successful pivot from recovery to sustainable tourism, which is wonderful.
To move through some of these pretty quickly.
So a little bit about our brand. So after the Love Central Coast brand, the brand flourishes. You can see that we've got 20 million impressions, 1.3 million sessions on Love Central Coast, and the social media has reached over 120,000 highly engaged followers. This just showcases our marketing across online and print. The team do a wonderful job at ensuring that we always have destination campaigns that are on, from seasonal campaigns to what's on, which means all of our events across the coast. The key priorities. This looks at what our key priorities are for 2025. And you can see here our key sectors include agritourism, sustainability, adventure, wellness, 24-hour economy, The destination identity is a continuous priority where we ensure that there's awareness that there's placemaking happening. And we're also not just working through tourism this year, but also working through the live, work and play dynamics as well. And also expanding our international outreach. So the international market is incredibly important to us. We know that they stay longer and they spend longer as well. And we've had some great successes with, in particular, the Southeast Asian market. We actually had a famil yesterday with the Southeast Asian ITOs, the inbound tourism operators. They were leading.
Explain what a famil is.
Yes. Thanks, Mel. So a famil is a familiarisation tour where they come to the coast and we bring them to the best product and the best natural assets at the same time. And yesterday we had a really wonderful group of 8 leading inbound tourism operators, and that was organised from Destination New South Wales with ourselves. And listening to the Vietnam group, they were absolutely ecstatic with what they had experienced. And they go from the Sydney Oyster Farm, they go to the entrance, they do Pelican time, they stay at the Oaks, and it's an overnight stay, which is wonderful. And that's what we're trying to achieve with this international market.
So the stretch is, we are starting to stretch out into that international inbound market now, which is fantastic.
And the key point for this year is about engaging back with that community around the products and services that we have, because I think that's been, it's a big market for us because it's visiting friends and relatives, and people are always looking for new things that they can take their visitors to. So we want to spend a bit of time on that this year. So we're doing some extensive work in that area.
How do you collaborate with some of the website with hotels that's on there? How do you, business development, is it? Or?
Yes, we work with our industry. So we will communicate with them through e-newsletters. We invite them to networking opportunities each quarter, like the breakfast that Councillor McNamara has mentioned. And we look at, we cross-promote with them as well. We run marketing campaigns with them. So it's a very strong collaboration with our industry.
That's my way. I just got feedback from the New Mingara Hotel that they were really impressed with the collaboration with council. So.
Yeah, it's been wonderful working with Mingara. It's a fresh new team there, and it's wonderful. Yeah, they're doing really well.
If we have somebody in another country, let's call it South Africa, that wants to come to the Central Coast, probably next September next year, a lot of people. We got what's on there? That's the year after.
The tourism team's working with that team.
Okay, but we're going to get to a stage where we could give them a package, one package that says, here are all our hotels, here are all the attractions, all in one package.
So that we're currently working on that
Okay.
with there's open space and sporting.
We did a similar thing too for the
FIFA.
FIFA World Cup.
Okay, good.
And that material also is at the visitor centre at the entrance. So I've got a wonderful visitor guide, and that presents the destination in a nutshell as well, and that's online too.
Could you send us where that is, Mel, or send us a copy of what's given out? That'd be good.
Yeah.
Time is running out.
Okay.
Has run out. Anything in particular that you want to go through?
I was just industry program. We're also finalists for the top tourism town for Terrigal, which is exciting. That ended yesterday. This was a co-op marketing campaign where we worked with industry to answer one of the councillors' questions then. So participating with us with these groups.
Battery's running low.
Battery's running.
It's all happening today.
It is, isn't it? So this presentation, are we going to get?
We
can you send it?
Yeah.
So we'll send it around for the time issue we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
We know where you are, so we'll ask you any questions direct by Mel. But due to time, councillors, I wanted to move 1.6 was, which we just heard about the visitor economy, and 1.7, which is the economic development strategy and the destination management plan. That's just about the update. And we'll get a workshop around that. So I just wanted to
early July.
In July. Okay, so to move it along, I just wanted to move the recommendation in 1.8 by councillor Moreland, seconded by councillor McQuaid. All those in favour?
Sorry, can I just make sure?
Okay.
1.8?
1.8.
That's.
Sorry, no, 1.7. 1.7, which is the project plan update. So what we have on the screen is councillor Moreland, councillor McQuaid, just the recommendation at this stage for 1.7, and understanding that we are going to have a workshop in early July. Okay, so all those in favour of 1.7 we got there? Yeah, so unanimous. Put that one down. So let's move to 1.8, which I think people have been waiting for years to get to 1.8. So I invite Jamie Lader, Director of Environment and Planning, to speak to the report, or whoever is delegating.
We've actually got Scott Duncan, who's the section manager.
Councillor McMurray. Yeah, I've got a short presentation of the just on the draft strategy and study. Okay, to move on. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so the strategic planning unit, we've been working on the employment land strategy. So it's looking forward to giving a short overview of that, just to give you a feeling for what it is and what the main recommendations are. There's quite a lot in it, so I'll try to keep it short and just go over the main highlights. But essentially, it's a high-level document looking at all of the Central Coast employment lands, so that we've got a framework to properly plan for them, much the same way that we've got a local housing strategy for the Central Coast. So this is one of a number of strategies that strategic planning is the process of producing and will produce over the coming years. So we're seeking the approval of council and the committee to move forward and do further consultation with the community and stakeholders on this draft document. We know it's a draft document, some of the actions and strategies will get refined through that process.
Just to be clear, what we'll do here tonight is just a recommendation, and that will then go to the next council meeting to then give approval to go out to community.
So essentially what it's doing is going to provide some strategic direction to inform our LEP, future rezonings, LEP amendments, a lot of the development control plan provisions that affect our employment lands. And it also contains a number of principles and actions to protect our strategically, especially those lands on transport corridors, which have their own particular planning requirements. So we've undertaken a two-phase process. So phase one, it's essentially a study which is based on a land use audit of all our employment lands across the Central Coast. So that's looked at such things as which sites are occupied, which are vacant, what sort of industries are occurring in our employment lands, which sites are serviced, what are some of the constraints that affect our employment lands, what's the supply and demand of employment land look like, and what are some of our growth requirements to make sure that we've got an adequate supply of employment land going forward. So that background study, it's provided us with the necessary evidence to produce the strategy, which is a number of specific strategies actions properly planned for our lands over the next 20 years.
Chair, let's ask a quick question, Shannon.
Councillor Milner.
Yeah, you did just the research. I know you do your internal exercise. Do we speak to industry groups? Do we speak to people such as boards, those large players that are looking for employment lands moving forward?
Yeah, in doing the study, our consultant, PDA, they spoke to a lot of the industrial landowners on the Central Coast. So then they did quite a lot of stakeholder consultation. But in terms of the actual strategy, we'll be doing a lot more consultation with the IA and a lot of the other industry stakeholder groups as well, now that we've got sort of this refined position, which is in a draft format. So I've got a map here. Put there is in purple. They're basically the employment lands on the Central Coast. So They're basically only covering the E3 productivity zone, the E4 general industrial zone, the SP4 zone, W4 working waterfront zone. It doesn't cover commercial zoned areas, the E1 and E2 zones. That's been looked at through a separate strategy that we're working on. We're doing a commercial land strategy or retail strategy for the Central Coast, which we'll have report back to council later this year. I just wanted to clarify that. But in terms of the employment precincts on the Central Coast, we have some really large precincts, especially in the far north, Bushells Ridge, Wild Employment Zone, and Summersby. Some of those precincts also have environmental constraints, drainage constraints, and servicing constraints. Some of those sites, in order to get their full development potential, or even to resolve some of the development issues, they will require sort of an offsetting approach to a biocertification process to resolve some of those development issues.
Sorry, Scott, it's similar to my last question. So we're spoken to people like Darkinjung, KFKC, Land Holdings.
Yeah, they've got a proposal they're working on.
So Scott, could I just ask, and sorry, I haven't had a chance to read the attachment in great detail, but I know, you know, the environmental constraints conflict question. Have we identified the low hanging fruit that doesn't have those complexities? And I know, I think we were trying to push for that last council, and I don't know whether we got that work done.
Yeah, that is coming up.
Okay, thank you.
Slides.
Councillor Reid.
Yeah, so if you can go back to the last map. I understand it's for the Central Coast, but I mean, you've got Morisset just to the north, and surely you've got to take some notice of it being an employment centre for the northern part of the Central Coast.
Yeah. So Hill PDA, whilst we haven't mapped those other employment precincts, sort of in the Lower Hunter, they have considered what impact they'll have on sort of supply and demand. So we will look from a supply and demand is going to look at who our competitors are.
Doug, it's a good point.
In a sense, I mean, they're also places where our residents will go and work.
Yeah, that's true. We do have some residents that will be and vice versa.
Particularly Morisset, I mean, from round the top.
Doyleson, Carmarthen.
Yeah, we're up that area.
Mr. Chair, it's worth noting because there is a REDS strategy that's
Is what a RED?
REDS, it's the strategy that tries to coordinate the Central Coast and Lake Macquarie and those partnerships. But Bushells Ridge, for example, is an interesting one. It's right on the border.
Right on the border, yeah.
And Lake Macquarie is looking at developing on the other side of the border. So I know they have reached out to council previously. Could we ask for an update, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, we speak to the strategic planning team fairly often at Lake Macquarie, and they will provide comments back on our draft strategy as well.
So if you could provide something back about what is happening in that border area, that would be great.
They have a structure plan for that that greater area.
Thank you.
That's just a sample of the land use audit. I won't go into that in any great detail, but each of the employment precincts on the Central Coast are mapped as part of the audit. It just provides a breakdown on which sites, how many vacant sites there are, and what some of the main land uses are from that point of view. So
one question I did send to the director was the maps, and whether councillors could be provided with a larger map of what they're looking at.
Yeah, no, Scott has provided those and we'll get them.
Thank you.
In terms of the key challenges, Central Coast in terms of planning for its employment lands, one of the main ones is just unlocking sites. There's quite a lot of vacant land that has constraints and lacks servicing. It's about trying to bring those online in a development ready format. It's particularly challenging too when you've got fragmented landowners which aren't being coordinated by a large development body.
And what do we do, Scott, in that case? Is council proactive bring those landowners together?
For some sites, in the residential context that has happened, but
the example I was talking about is at Mountain Road, where we got a number of landowners that are looking at coming together. They probably need a third party to provide some assistance, and that would unlock some heavy industrial or at least industrial that's adjacent to the airport.
Yeah, it's Mountain Road is one of strategic planning's projects that we're looking at through the review of one of our district contribution plan too. So that's, yeah, part of that to come up with an infrastructure strategy.
But I know it's challenging. Someone's got to try to hold their hands through that process.
Yeah, and in response, where we do get, especially for doing rezoning of land, we really, if they come in and they're quite small sites, do request the landowners to go back and speak to their neighbours, because you're getting much better. It's easier to resolve the infrastructure and the quality issues too if you're looking at land at a larger scale.
Do we have some strong probity guidelines around that? Like,
Yeah, that's the tricky bit.
well, it's not the tricky bit, it's the essential bit. Do we have some strong probity guidelines around how we undertake those conversations, or how do we do the Chinese wall thing on some of this stuff?
Generally, one example, I mean, it happens in Lake Macquarie a lot, Lake Marmora a lot, where we say, you know, council's got an adopted strategy, and in this precinct, this is the outcome we're hoping for. And sometimes that where they're small, fragmented lots, we can't actually achieve that outcome in that precinct. So generally suggest that.
So is there a documented probity guideline about how we do that?
Interesting. Keep going, mate.
Yeah, infrastructure delivery, obviously that's a big issue. Some of these precincts rely on state government infrastructure to activate them. Some of them, like in that road example, requires a major intersection of the state road.
And services.
And yeah, so I think it's important that, yeah, council continues to lobby for funding, both for state infrastructure, but also that fragmented ownership issue. The other issue too, it's about improving job containment on the Central Coast. It's about trying to promote the Central Coast as an employment destination and making that more well known so that we can attract further business investment. And in terms of protecting land for high value industrial uses, that can sometimes be some of the more popular employment precincts are largely built out, but other sort of non-employment uses moving into them. Retail uses and gyms, things like that, which are still permissible in some ways, but it still doesn't leave many opportunities for industries with sites, relocation opportunities. Transport and road connectivity is another issue. And also it's about protecting some of the smaller employment precincts, which provide services to local residents, not just the large big precincts that are located on close to the M1 locations. You may not be aware, but the employment precincts on the Central Coast are very significant for employment. They provide 40% of all jobs. So that's why it's important that we continue to make sure that we've got an adequate supply of employment lands going forward. I've included that table too over here. That just provides a bit of a breakdown of two different sort of population growth scenarios, which basically look at employment growth on the Central Coast. So it basically assumes that there'll be 11 to 18,000 jobs on the Central Coast leading into 2041. Of those, 4,250 to 6,800 will be located in employment precincts. So it's roughly between 38 and 39% of all jobs. But yeah, in terms of looking at where the jobs will be, you know, you've got healthcare and social assistance with 1,000 jobs, manufacturing still quite large there with 1,000 jobs. So it's interesting just to see where the jobs will be coming forward.
Can I make a comment about estimates in a lot of our documents that we put out are not consistent sometimes and aren't consistent with Business New South Wales estimates that get put out. For example, the projected jobs to 2041, I've seen numbers at 50 and 60,000. So I'm not quite sure where the estimates are coming from, but maybe between everybody, all of the partners, we can agree to what these estimates may be.
Yeah, some may be targets and some may be projections. Some
we try to plan for this. I think we need to get better at estimating, considering, you know, how many houses / apartments that they want to bring in the next 10, 15 years. If that is, you know, 60 or 70,000 people, and jobs aren't going to be at, you know, 11 to 18,000. So just a point if we could be a little bit more cooperative, I suppose, Scott, bringing you into the conversation. But
And councillor, there's quite a bit, and Business New South Wales will often take some of those projections from state government as well. So there's probably a piece there.
just a heads up, if we could do better.
Wouldn't surely the jobs per hectare is going to decrease, surely? Things like robotics. I mean, if you look at, was it Amazon's, fulfillment centres, whatever, they've got robots everywhere. Huge, and they're huge and probably have 10 people working in them. Isn't that the future?
Yeah, you're right. At the moment, our average job density per hectare is about 40, but Hill PDA thinks they might drop back to about 30s and that going forward with those sort of technologies. It will drop a little, but not substantially.
Drop substantially. We have a bet, Scott.
I'll be here to collect it.
I mightn't be either.
Okay, let's keep going.
We'll keep going.
We're waiting on that, just checking on Councillor McGregor. You got any questions, Councillor McGregor, while we're just waiting for it to go forward?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, mate.
This provides a bit of a breakdown on the employment lands of the Central Coast. So in terms of the amount of employment lands, we've got 2,100 hectares of employment lands. 1,200 hectares of that's already built out. There's 933 hectares of that is vacant. That's further broken down then into serviced and unserviced. So you've got roughly 30% of that is serviced, 70% is unserviced. And then if you look at the level of constraints on some of that, you've got 219, or roughly 23% of that which has hard constraints like flooding, making any development outcome pretty difficult. And a lot of the other constraints here, this is the biggest category in the partial category, 64%. They're sites that aren't flood affected, but they do have ecological constraints. They might be vegetated, they might be affected by wildlife corridors or bushfire considerations, things like that. So you'd only probably achieve a partial development outcome on those sites. Then in the other category, unconstrained, that land is largely cleared, or very few development constraints. So when you look at all of those constraints together, whilst it seems like the Central Coast has quite a lot of vacant employment land, there's very little that's actually in the serviceable and unconstrained category. So that's 9% at 80 hectares, about 23% in the hard constraint category. This is the biggest category here, the unserviced and partial constraint category. So, there's those ecological issues that would have to be worked through in a lot of those servicing constraints in order to achieve outcomes. So I think that provides a good outcome and a good picture of what the current status of employment land is.
Can I ask a question about the unserviced? How do we deal with that with the owners or the proponents to build? Do we get them to pay for the servicing of that area through a VPA or something, or what? Or maybe the owners might volunteer to put up some traffic lights or something. How do you look at that?
In a lot of cases, it requires multiple landowners to put their resources in order to fund, like a trunk sewer lane or something like that, and come up with some agreement to fund that particular piece of infrastructure, or for a larger developer to come in and buy up multiple parties, parcels of land and fund it that way. So,
Mr. Chair, I'd like this committee to have some discussion with the CEO and the senior management team about financing options as well. Council can take on debt for review projects, and they can either borrow through Treasury or other sources at quite low interest rates, and they may want to see what we can do proactively to create jobs on the right location. But how we can assist those projects to move forward, because I don't think it's always fair that the first to market wears all the debt, and that kills a number of projects on the Central Coast. And I think every National Insurance Committee
Would be an interesting one via the Finance and Governance Committee of Councillor Ryan's to have a look at how it would be repaid very quickly, and it's not a burden on the ratepayers. So
That would be the most appropriate.
good point. So councillor Wright's nodding his head. So if you talk to councillor Wright, you're on board. Okay, keep going, Scott.
So at the moment, the demand for industrial land is tracking at about 12 to 16 hectares per year. That's the yeah. Some other key takeaways from this is that all of the land that was serviced and unconstrained, Central Coast would land be brought online. And if both the short and medium term supply, the unconstrained land and that land which has restricted servicing constraints, there will still be a deficit of 48 hectares of land by 2041. So that's why one of the recommendations from Hill PDA is that we need to unlock at least a further 60 hectares of additional employment land by 2041, by ensuring that the biodiversity and infrastructure issues are resolved. That could take the form of new rezonings with servicing agreements, or it could just mean, unlocking some of that existing zone land shown on that map.
Is the Warrnambool Airport land included in the figures? Yeah.
We've also got a map here.
Sorry, Scott, as cleared and unconstrained.
Check what category that one falls into. This is also a map that shows some of the future areas identified for future employment. So you can see there's quite a lot of areas identified in yellow for the future and blue. And like you've got the Warrnambool site here and the other side of Warrnambool. Subject.
What's site 12?
Site 12 is the Warrnambool Airport site. And then you've got the other sort of the country music site over here.
Can we talk about site 11, please? Like 3 or 4 years ago, there was a resolution of council about the Warrnambool Business and Education Precinct. It appeared then that it was saying like move on with it. What's going on? Could you give us an update at all, or later could you give us an update on specifically site 11? If it appears that there is a number of years have gone by and maybe nothing's happened. So if you could do that, that would be good.
Yeah, that particular project's being run by a different unit within council.
But we can bring that back.
We can bring that back.
Thank you.
So in terms of all of that information, we've developed a number of strategies and actions to better plan for our employment lands. The first strategy, it's based on strategy 1, ensuring an adequate and appropriate long-term supply of employment land. So in order to do that, we need to ensure that their employment land and sort of provide them with information to the UDP committee. And the UDP committee is already looking at a lot of the infrastructure issues that affect the employment lands and our residential lands. Trying to get a better prioritisation framework for how we services those things. The other action 1.2, it's about investigating and supporting development plans, master plans. Some of the structure planning that some of the landowners are involved in as well. So I'm sure that council is assisting with those processes is important. Which also feeds into action 1.3. And the other action is finalising the master plan for the Central Coast Airport site and the Warrnambool Business Precinct. Talking about that. And
I think we're all pleased, or this committee should be pleased to see 1.5 on there, based on previous discussions.
Waste management, absolutely, absolutely. Scott, is that it? So you're wrapping up, finished?
Yeah,
probably a lot more.
Cover all of the actions.
We're running out of time.
So thanks for the opportunity to present the employment strategy. And
thank you. It's a great document.
Yeah, well, it's a good document. I don't get shocked very often. I'd say to staff, it was very good. Yes.
So let's thanks again, Scott. So committee members, we've got a mover of the recommendation, Councillor Moreland.
Sorry, can we just change that? Note that we're recommending that council adopt these things. We're not adopting them ourselves. But the committee recommends that council. Yeah. Council.
Yeah.
I just don't want people to pick up the minutes and think we've adopted it.
No.
Second the amendment.
No.
recommends to council to endorse. Yeah,
Point of order.
okay. So we clarified the recommendation or the motion by by councillor Moreland and seconded by councillor Wright. Any discussion? Councillor McGregor, I don't see your hand up, so that's good. Put that motion. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. So we are running out of time, everybody. So the air show and what was the last one, sorry?
Business retention and expansion survey report.
Survey reports. Anybody got any questions about those? Do they want to talk about them? Otherwise, I'll move both of them as recommendations back to council, and they'll come up at the council meeting on Tuesday week.
Look, I'm just concerned that we've got the report is confidential. I don't see the need for that to be confidential.
So the question will be,
Yeah.
question be to staff, can we, in the next week or two, we please understand why that section is confidential?
Would we be better to hold this over until the June meeting so that we can discuss it?
I would just say that given the timetable to air, the likelihood, if council's comfortable with this, is that the air show would actually be held in the first half of 2027, which means that considering it at the June meeting would not conflict with that timeframe.
Nicholas?
It's a good idea.
We say bring it back to this meeting next month. Getting a lot of nods, and I think I'm getting a nod from Councillor McGregor as well. So we will move. That was 1 point. So 1.9 will show as deferred. A mover for the motion to defer to the June meeting. Councillor Wright and Councillor McQuaid. All those in favour of the deferral to the June meeting, Councillor McNamara, we've got unanimous again. Thank you very much. And the last one, which is get to it.
Retention and expansion.
Business retention and expansion report. Again, running out of time, we'll just note the recommendation, and that will then be up in the May council meeting as part of the minutes. So all those in favour of the recommendation for 1.10.
So we're just noting the recommendation?
The recommendation, yes, because it'll go to the council meeting.
Yeah, but we're not endorsing distribution of the final report to business industry and on council's website. No?
That's correct. So up on the screen, you'll see the
Yep, no, that's
the
fine.
report.
That's fine.
Okay, everyone clear?
Yeah.
Yes, all those in favour? And unanimous again. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Brings the meeting to a close at 6:34. See you next month. Why for 6:30?
Well done.
Thank you.